All right, we ready to do this? We good?
I was
I just making sure we're starting the time.
born ready,
Born ready.
Must have been weird for everybody in the
and then I
delivery room.
was not ready for a long time.
Guys,
and then
check out this baby.
I'm back.
You're back.
Is he ready?
I don't know.
I think he is. That's weird, right? I mean, they're not normally born this way. No.
Welcome to Play On. Today, it's myself, Rob. I got with me as always Matt, and Brian is here. Say hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Okay, just like any other time. All right, we're starting out with Castlevania. It's actually really quiet. Do we need more sound on him?
On
Castlevania.
Castlevania.
Yeah. You want more sound in your microphone?
I mean, I haven't heard any of the games we played.
You haven't.
I mean, that's not true. I heard Final Fantasy Star.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't heard. I didn't hear Kid Dracula when I was playing that earlier.
Well, no, the mic was quiet.
This is more responsive than I remember.
What is?
The game.
The game's more responsive? What do you mean?
It's responsive as a Nintendo game can be, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I'm assuming Brian has played Castlevania.
I had it, yeah.
But I don't know if Robert, do you ever play these?
Oh
old games?
yeah, dude. No, I had this on the
Where
NES.
You have to commit to your jumps and everything. You feel like a big fucking rock.
Yeah. No, I've played this one. I don't know. I was never I was never a good game player growing up, so I wasn't used to like a lot of these side scrollers and stuff. I think that's why I gravitated so much towards JRPGs and why I wanted to build the other piece of the channel too, because like I get frustrated with these things. I think.
Well, then we definitely need to get you to play Katana Zero.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh man.
when I inevitably die, you can play this.
You're killing me.
I don't know. I know I've beaten this one before, like a long time ago, but I'm pretty sure I had to use like emulator cheats and save states.
Oh man. We need to get into what's the game Captain Bucky O'Hare. I rented that one a long time ago for, I believe it's just the original NES, and it was the last game I really remember in this kind of action-paced stuff that I was really like into and successful at playing. I loved the Ninja Turtles arcade game back in the like early 90s or whatever, and so when the Nintendo game for Ninja Turtles came out, I bought that, and I was rubbish at that too.
The only thing I remember about that Ninja Turtles game is the weird cheat where you like could stand on the wall as Donatello and hold down and attack to beat one of the bosses.
Oh man, Donatello was
and then
amazing.
you get to like the weird sewage things where there's electricity everywhere, and if you touch anything, you just die.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll go back that way. Oh
I don't know.
You were talking about Fire Pro earlier, and it made me think of that game, Saturday Night Slam Masters.
What? I don't.
Well, it was a wrestling game that I believe it was done by Capcom, and apparently the idea that the guys developing it had was, well, wrestlers don't have equal levels of ability and skill, in wrestling, so they don't really need to have that in our game either, right? We can just have some guys who are way better than the rest.
Interesting.
And so, like, the best way to beat that game was to use Titanic Tim, the battle axe, who was 7'5", and see, the trick was that you had to learn how to do the basic chop and the running kick, and you could beat all of the enemies the first time you played with them.
This is as bad as when we built Purple Haze for that stupid basketball game.
Basketball play-by-numbers simulator. We made that center that had 100 in every stat.
Carried his team to the finals, but could never win it all.
Put him on the Toronto Raptors. They lost 3 games the entire season, get to the championship against the Chicago Bulls, and they got swept.
I know. Purple haze.
He was averaging 74 points a game, 25 rebounds, and 30 steals.
He could not beat the Bulls. Well, he like ran
But
that
they
thing.
could somehow Jordan was still too much for him.
Oh shit! I love that game.
I don't know if you guys realized, but I beat the first level without dying.
Ooh, we're
like
well on our way.
Game of my life right now.
Well, it's a good thing it's being recorded
A personal best.
right here on the internet.
People wouldn't believe it had happened if they didn't see it with their own eyes.
No, that's right. It's a good thing
This is where I'm gonna die.
Yeah, I was about to say, boom, your not dying streak is about to end because there comes the first Medusa head.
Oh god. So the Medusa head is definitely your kryptonite.
I think
waves.
somebody did a list of the 10 most infamous enemies in games, and the Medusa head won.
What?
And like somebody responded, they were like, "Man, if there was a position higher than 1, the Medusa head would be higher than 1." They are so bad.
As proven.
We see it just like what happened there. There's angles that they can come in where you can't dodge them and you can't hit them. And the only areas you face them are places where you can get knocked off ledges.
Yeah.
Of course, right?
Yeah. Because this game was designed by Satan.
Assholes. I don't know, Satan?
If I waited there, I could have hit him.
Isn't it exactly where you died last time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck you, Medusa head.
You're gonna have an awful lot of fun with this game, Rob.
I think I'm already out. I've already played it enough, and I haven't played it. I've already got a bad reputation after Mugman and Cuphead. So,
Cuphead.
Is it just Cuphead?
It's just.
I like Mugman better.
He is blue.
He is blue.
Fuck. Well,
Oh, you lived.
well, now they're coming from that way. I don't like that. Hey.
Oh shit! Sorry. It's a little funny. It's a little funny.
Don't make fun of me.
Oh man! As soon as this episode's over, I'm literally banging more like carpet into the wall because this is really echoey. So what's the storyline behind Castlevania? Is it you're out to get Dracula? Is seriously just that straightforward, or
I think so. Could be wrong.
they did a
There is like lore in like the Belmont clan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any of it.
I mean, all the
You can watch the Netflix television show.
yeah, the only everything I know about the Castlevania game I learned from Starbomb, so pretty much just killed
So-
everyone at a party.
Nothing. You learn nothing.
I know
about
nothing about Castlevania. Should have done some research.
Came out in 1987, apparently.
This is 87?
Yeah.
God. It's pretty good for 87. I mean, I really felt Nintendo didn't really hit solid games to like 89 as far as like they had mastered the gameplay and the ability, what you could and couldn't do with the palette system within the Nintendo and such. And then the Super Nintendo immediately came out.
Yeah, because they were getting their ass handed to them by the Genesis.
Were they? That's an interesting question because I never felt that Genesis was that great a system.
I looked at the numbers recently, and the Genesis was outselling the basic Nintendo, which forced them to rush the development on the Super Nintendo. The Super Nintendo never caught the Genesis total sales numbers.
Huh. Interesting. Well,
And then the Saturn happened, and they blew it.
yeah. Well, I mean, and the Genesis sold because it was cheap, right? I mean, that's
No, because Sega did what Nintendo
Nintendo
Nintendo.
did.
Yeah, which was basically the Genesis was, I think it was built around a lot of the technology that they were using for the arcade machines, so they could do really good arcade ports.
That's weird because I thought
At that time in gaming history, arcade ports were everything.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, man, that is the fifth death on that that block. But I don't know, the sound always felt tinny to me on the Genesis. I always hated the sound.
Well, that's because the sound for the Super Nintendo was the chipset was developed by Sony, and I think Nintendo paid them for an exclusive on that. So Sega just couldn't get the that high quality chipset.
Interesting. That's one way to cheat your way into a.
And all the time Sony was like, "Wow, this home gaming system thing's sure interesting. Tell us more about how you made all this work."
I don't see what would that have to do with anything. I don't. Oh man.
And then Nintendo, showing that they were just as capable of making bad decisions as Sega was, spends all that money developing the CD drive for the Super Nintendo, and then decides that they're not going to do it after all.
Right.
That CD-ROMs were not the technology of the future somehow.
All right.
And they lost Final Fantasy.
Yeah. Sega decided to take the CD drive and just attach a CPU to it, and they renamed it the PlayStation.
Right.
Who said that? Did you say Sony or Sega?
Sony.
Sony did.
I might have said Sega, but
Yeah.
I know.
I think you did.
Yeah.
Oh man, but when the PlayStation came out, I really felt that was a great system. But I look at the games now, and they are rough.
Well, all
Battle Arena to Shinden.
early
Played the
3D
shit out of that.
Early 3D games are a lot harder to play than like Super Nintendo games to me. They just look so shitty.
Yeah, at the time, man, that was sexy. Loved it.
I don't know.
Yeah, weirdly, even though the Saturn itself was kind of a failure, the games aged a lot better than the games for
Yeah.
the PlayStation did, because
They went. Yeah, they were
3D
going for the sprite world, right?
yeah, they were like, well, 3D is not really there yet. And it turned out that
were right.
nobody cared.
Well, they care now, I guess. I mean, how well is that that PlayStation emulator they put out selling? I don't know. Like, it's super expensive, and it didn't have a lot of really great games.
Oh, that thing bombed.
Yeah.
Well, the PlayStation does have a lot of great games. I love the PlayStation. The thing could have been a success, but they emulated everything poorly. They put like European versions on, which run at different refresh rates than the American games, and everything about it was just a piece of shit.
Somebody was like, they used an emulator and it wasn't MAME. They were like, you could have just had this. It's not like they would have had to pay a ton of money for the software,
Right.
And it works better than all the other emulators because it's been developed forever.
True. Oh,
as soon as I got past that stupid jumping thing, I just walked through the rest of it.
you just moonwalked through.
But I think they were like, well, but people would just take the ROMs off that console and trade them online. And it's like, they're already doing that, dummy.
Well, like,
You're not going to pay money for those ROMs now.
Right.
Even the Nintendo one, they found in the ROM data of the console, they found like some weird hack someone put in. So Nintendo just downloaded a ROM off the internet and put it on their thing.
That's hilarious. Wait, they did what with...
For the
kind of hack was
Super
this?
Nintendo Classic, they just found like it wasn't a hack. It was like a signature in the code that someone used for one of the ROMs they made of a game.
Uh-huh.
So it was just evidence that Nintendo just downloaded a ROM off the internet.
Oh, okay.
And put it on their Super Nintendo Classic.
I had heard that, actually. But I mean, why would you go all the? It's the same reason like the space state, the NASA started just buying stuff off eBay. They get the old equipment. It's like it's easier to like redesign the whole thing again. Someone out there had that shit.
Yeah, they don't have the equipment to read a lot of their old data.
Yeah. So they're just buying the shit back up on eBay.
They were like, if we ever go back to the moon, we're going to be redeveloping all this anyway, so we don't need this data. And, you know, then the engineers were like, no, why would we?
Don't reinvent the wheel. Oh, we died. And that's where we're going to end this episode. There, well, thanks for joining us. Goodbye. See you soon.
Do we have to sing the theme song or anything like that?
Yeah, you have to sing the theme song.
Yama.